Welcome to the Meta Woman podcast. We address the issues, opportunities, and challenges facing women in the development of the metaverse, the biggest revolution since the internet itself. Every week, we bring you conversations with top female talent and business executives operating in the gaming and crypto industries. Here's your host, Lindsay the Boss Poss. The Meta Woman podcast starts now.
Hello, and welcome to the Meta Woman podcast, part of the Holodeck Media Podcast Network. I'm your host, Lindsay the Boss Poss. From struggle to success, we're covering it all. For any of you that have listened before, my struggle this week is that I lost my voice at PAX East. So thank you all so much for tuning in this week. Please don't make fun of my voice. I know it's not my usual very smooth jazz type of voice, but we're going to go with it anyway. To all the new listeners, thank you so much for coming today. Listen to another episode where I don't sound sickly. Today's guest is someone with a background that we haven't explored yet on the show, which means it's going to be a really fun conversation. Phien is the head graphic designer at FlyQuest, an esports organization with not only a successful League of Legends team, but a dedication to being a voice for environmentally friendly practices in the esports industry, which in my offline life, I am super passionate about, just protecting the environment, implementing earth-friendly practices, policies to help protect the planet. So I was so excited to meet Phien, and not only to learn about graphic design, but to be able to talk a lot of environmentally friendly stuff, which I don't get to talk about a lot in esports, and is a huge part of my day-to-day life. Phien, I would love for you to more fully introduce yourself and say a couple sentences about who you are to the audience.
Hello, everyone. My name is Phien, and I'm a graduate from Cal Poly Pomona, class of 2017. And I graduated with a BFA in graphic design and a double minor in marketing and art history. I have been a designer for 7 years, and I'm currently a graphic designer for FlyQuest. And my job here is to pretty much create the visual identity for a brand, such as designing assets for partnership decks, thumbnails, overlays for content, social graphics for marketing, and handling the design process for merch. And recently, we just launched a design internship program, which I am managing at this moment. I became a designer because I love working on a wide range of projects and just being able to express myself in different ways and just being able to let my creativity let loose. So yeah, that's pretty much it about me.
So cool, though. I'm really excited to jump in with some questions about your job as a graphic designer. For those of you who haven't seen her work at FlyQuest, I highly recommend checking it out. It's really cool. It's a lot of creative directions, and I love the thought that you put into everything from t-shirts designs to packaging to just creating that kind of cohesive brand vision. I also want to plug real quick that you mentioned previously you have an art history minor, which I love. I like bringing people on the show who have non-traditional kind of educational backgrounds. Fun stuff. I have a Russian literature minor. So I think that learning all kinds of different things makes you just a really well-rounded person to work with. And the art history is probably very relevant for your day-to-day job now.
Yeah.
So there's just so many education paths that you can take and wind up in esports, as I'm now demonstrating. For the folks with creative brains out there, I definitely want to encourage them to express themselves and find a place in esports. With that being said, can we talk about what led you into graphic design and what inspires you about it?
So pretty much I would say that graphic design inspires me because it allows me, allows me to express myself in different ways, especially since I'm still learning about myself and finding my true potential. And I feel like graphic design allows me to challenge myself in that aspect of what I can do, how much of an impact I can make with a design, my comfortability, since I am working with a wide range of styles, groups of people, culture, and just much more. And I feel like working with FlyQuest and just seeing how much of an impact I can make through design, especially with the Go Green initiative, I feel like with my designs, it makes it very rewarding and very exciting. So it really pushes me and motivates me to try new things as a designer, and also just working with the different possible canvases that you can work with. It's unlimited, so I'm excited for the potential projects I would be working on in the future, and just learning more things about it. And that's pretty much it.
Let's talk about that kind of marriage now between graphic design and esports and what brought you to FlyQuest in the gaming industry. Can you just walk me through how you were able to combine both of those things into the career that you have now and kind of what that path looked like?
Yeah. So I've played video games for a majority of my life, and I knew that I always wanted to work in the gaming industry since I was little. Like, even at one point, I worked at GameStop because I just wanted to gain more knowledge about video games and just be part of the scene. But it wasn't until college when I realized I wanted to become a designer. And I think during that time, like I was still like debating on what I wanted to do in the industry, because there's like so many job opportunities that you can go with that route. So prior to FlyQuest, I worked with different companies from a wide range of industries. And since I wanted to gain as much experience as possible, I just pretty much just applied everywhere. And and during this time, this is when I was learning how to watercolor, hand letter, design booths, package design, branding, and also apparel design. So I've had experience prior to that. And then at the beginning of 2018, a friend reached out to me and asked if I was interested in working for a part-time agency called Bento. And they specialize in creative design, broadcasting, and live stream in the gaming industry. And I did not want to miss that opportunity, especially since I didn't have prior experience. So I ended up taking the part-time offer. And then what was great was the fact that my first client was actually FlyQuest. And around this time, this was when FlyQuest just announced their first rebrand. And so I was helping them with their social branding and graphics for that split. Then a couple of months later, they ended up opening up a full-time graphic design position. And I ended up applying for that and I got it. And so I would say working with Bento definitely helps me get through my foot through like the industry, and then also like having that connection really helped. And I'm glad that like I was very expressive about like my passions, and it's just the fact that like my friend knew, I was interested in video games and that was a graphic designer, like helped bring that connection together. And then ever since then, I've just been with FlyQuest for about more than 4 years, and I couldn't be happier with where I am today. And it is like my first experience in the gaming. I would say my first like full-time experience in the gaming industry. And I feel like I've grown so much throughout the years, and I hope to continue growing, contributing to the industry like one step at a time. Yeah,
absolutely. Do you have any advice about, I know several people, and especially with being at PAX this past weekend, and a lot of talk about kind of getting into the game industry from other industries.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice about what other industry jobs to kind of look for? I know for you, there's kind of a specific set of experiences that you had because you are a graphic designer. But for example, did you find that maybe working with like a more tech-based client was useful? Or was it like, being in a well-managed team was more useful? Or was there kind of pieces of those previous experiences in non-gaming industries that helped you be successful in the gaming industry then? Like thinking about what other jobs people can look for who aren't having success kind of breaking into the industry in the way they want.
I would say there isn't a specific industry exactly, but it's just more of like a job that offers specific like experiences that you can learn about, because I wouldn't expect to do like watercolor and hand lettering in esports, and so working for a planner and arts and craft company has like given me the ability to just bring that skill set to esports. So honestly, it's not really any specific industry, but just like finding job opportunities that will let you experiment and like learn different skill sets that you can bring to the industry. So I did work at a marketing agency where I did learn about branding, working on like a whole graphic package, as well as like, logo design and environmental design. And I was able to bring that to FlyQuest. Like recently I did the LCS finals booth for FlyQuest, and luckily with my experience of like working at the marketing agency with like environmental design, like I was able to bring that in. So I would just say, just like tips is just be open to any industry and just kind of know like if there are specific skill sets that you do want to learn or something different, like be sure to explore that and just keep an open mind. I feel like I was really happy that I explored different ones, because now like it just made me realized like, oh yeah, gaming, like as much as I always knew that gaming was something that I really wanted to go to, that I did like consider like other industries now because I've tried it out. So I would just say just be open with it overall. Um, and then just kind of go from there because you never know. And I feel like esports is just so broad in general that you can bring any skill sets in now. So especially with like the technology that's like has grown within the industry, like you can do so much now. So
Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Just wanted to make sure that I
yeah, of
wasn't.
course.
Yeah, I just want to be able to give good advice when people ask
No, of
me.
course. Yeah. No, it's honestly, like it's tough because luckily there's like some people who've got experience from the industry straight on,
Right,
but
right.
I was very blessed that I had all those opportunities in it, and I'm given the opportunity now to bring all those skill sets in. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
very thankful to be working at FlyQuest and having that creative freedom to do so.
Let's talk about some of your accolades there. You've done a lot of really cool stuff at
Mhm.
FlyQuest, including managing 13 merch collections,
Mhm.
releasing 9 jerseys, some of which actually included some of those hand painted designs and the mixed mediums that you're talking about. I know you had some cool watercolors, if I remember correctly from a previous
Yeah.
conversation. Yeah, which is really neat. You've also released the first line of esports apparel made for women, which is FlyQuest's women's flightwear.
Yeah.
This is a question I haven't actually asked of many previous guests, which you would
Mhm.
think kind of in a career-oriented-ish show, this would be more
Yeah.
common.
Mhm.
But what is your day-to-day like? what do you actually do as a graphic designer when you go into FlyQuest and you sit down on a regular day?
I would say like my day to day is pretty much just overall supporting all departments, whether it's like for decks, for partnerships, overlays and thumbnails for content, social graphics for marketing. I feel like it's always
Mhm.
constantly different, especially since I was the only designer for the longest time. But I did everything when it came to design, but also that's like a great thing for me because I like that wide range of projects, and
Mhm.
so yeah, I pretty much like just supported all departments if it was like needed, depending on like the time frame and like the split. And although recently we did hire a design intern, so I've been using my time to also manage and find ways to level up our designs and provide more for the community. So that's pretty much like my day to day at this moment. It's kind of everywhere, but in a sense of like it's exciting and it's always different. So yeah.
I think it's hard to exactly describe just how hard it is to even pick out a color palette for a project. It's like
Yeah.
there's a lot, and then you don't think, yeah, the social media graphics and overlays are not something that is top of mind for me when I'm thinking about
Yeah.
graphic design. But yeah, doing all of that stuff to make it one package that you present to the world through FlyQuest is, yeah, you have a lot to do, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Let's talk really quick about the women's flightwear collection you worked on.
Mhm.
Can you tell me what the inspiration, where that came from, what the process was like from idea to production, how it was received? I love that you all had a size inclusivity part of this, and I know that this was designed by women for women, which is,
Mhm.
again, that's something that's super common within the gaming industry. So I just love
Yeah.
to, how whose idea was that, and what was your support like, and yeah, how do people like it?
So this whole idea pretty much started with Trisha, our CEO, who wanted
Mhm.
to add more merch that was specifically tailored to women and bring it to esports. She's been in the esports industry for such a long time and realized that it was time to um, provide that option, especially since like what was provided during that time were just mostly like unisex t-shirts or just like more form-fitting t-shirts that was like cut differently on top. And so we both decided that we wanted to launch the very first like women's apparel in esports. And we knew it was going to be a challenge since the esports space is very like male dominant. So, but we realized there was an audience out there that exists that we wish to cater. And so we worked with NEU, our merch vendor, on finding different garments that weren't available to women in the space yet. And we wanted to just explore different styles. And once we got the idea of the garments that we wanted to use, we mocked up all the designs, sent in for samples. And then once we got the samples, me and Trisha like tried them on. We even asked like some of our friends to like test them out and stuff too, so that we can think about like, thoughts on comfortability, the quality of the garment, and making sure that it was flattering and inclusive for all like body types. And so
Yeah, that is so cool. Building off of that, something you'd mentioned in a previous conversation is that you like designing things that may not be expected of an esports brand. I definitely think hopefully a women's line is something that becomes a little bit more expected coming up. But for now, I think we're taking steps, the progress isn't as fast as anyone would like, but I think that's becoming more expected. But I think that is also saying that you look for things that are unexpected is a good way of saying that you're constantly on the lookout for new trends and even just underserved audiences, not necessarily even trends, and that you're also starting your own trends. So can you tell me what kind of strikes you as an expected item, and then what may be kind of fading out in terms of design in esports and what's coming up? Hopefully inclusivity is more on the up and up.
Yeah, definitely. I personally don't think there's any like design trends or styles are technically fading, especially in esports, since it's so diverse and can work with different works depending on like their vision. But I think it's just more of adding to it since we are broadening our audience. And so, more inclusive, like adding just more variety for different audiences and realizing that there's more to esports than just gaming. So for us at FlyQuest, we're always trying to break that barriers of what esports design should look like. So examples would just be like having an all eco-friendly item to promote, sustainability and like being like recycling your items and just being eco-friendly overall. Releasing a women's merch line, which we, are still trying to do with our merch, like adding specific garments and having that variety. And also, just adding a different style that has like a purpose to our design, such as like, just lifestyle, like having the idea that esports apparel should only be, like worn in gaming competitions or when your team is playing. Like we want to break that and like have it where you're able to wear it anywhere, because esports I feel like is like a lifestyle. So, but we're definitely looking into broadening our audience, adding potential like merch and like different garments that hasn't been in the space yet. And I would say like new trends at this moment that I've been looking at is just adding different mediums to our designs. Like this is like, I guess, specific to design wise. Like, so in the past, like I've worked with like watercolor and like hand-drawn items, and I wish to like kind of switch things up and like overall change like different design elements to it. So just like expanding like skill sets into like our merch. So something that I'm currently trying to aim towards.
I wish I was like 1 ounce creative. Hearing you talk about all this, it's like, oh my God, I want to know how to watercolor. It sounds great. And then I want to know how to like watercolor and make something in like, I don't know, Adobe Illustrator and like put those two together somehow and then make it look really cool.
Yeah, it's really tough. It's like two different like mediums because I actually had to hand paint them like on watercolor paper and then transfer it onto the computer. And I've actually tried like watercoloring on like my iPad. It was just completely different. So it's a very difficult process. So I don't blame you for feeling that way either.
So cool though. Going back to the kind of purpose and especially like the lifestyle stuff or communicating a message, how can graphic design and branding, how can having a cohesive kind of look and feel help you connect with your audience? And what are some of the key points you think about within the design process to help you send that message? I mean, I joked about color palettes, but like having very consistent branding requires like a dedication across a lot of different fronts. And how are you thinking about that communication when you're actually making these design decisions?
So I feel like graphic design and branding just gives a different perspective on storytelling since there's so many ways that we can express it through like visuals. And so really for us, it's all about our messaging. And as much as like all of our designs are very like consistent, I feel like our messaging is what makes us stand out in some sense. So like key points I think about during my design process are like what our goals are, what our main message and vision is, and like what the purpose of the design is for. And so I feel like knowing these definitely make you consider a lot of things with your design because you adjust those points, consider the hierarchy and making sure that those points are clear so that the audience know what the message is. So like, for example, like at FlyQuest, we want to make sure that we put emphasis on our Go Green initiatives that we put out. And so, for example, for Spring Split, we are focusing on Tree Quest. So we want to make sure all of the designs had that tree element and that it's like obvious that this is like kind of what we're aiming for and like focusing on. And also our vision here is to showcase greatness. And and to make sure to put that vision out, I try to put that wherever I can, whether it's on our graphics, our tags, on our jerseys and shirts, and just our like social posting. So it's just knowing what the purpose or goal and just like what the meaning behind our vision is like one of the main points that would lead to like great design, I would say, and just like my design process overall.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like the tree. I like that you just were able to put trees and everything. I saw the cherry blossom design. I currently live in Washington, D.C., and I'm a D.C. native. And the cherry blossom are like the thing here. So that was so fun for me. It's like a good little shout out to my hometown.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask this question. I hope this doesn't come across as rude because you are talented. Mm-hmm. But how does creating a cohesive brand and like these beautiful materials and all that, how does that add to the success of a League of Legends team? I'm sure that you've had to fight for graphic design in esports before, but I would just love to, kind of like hear why that's important to a team and why a team should have a graphic designer and be able to communicate that brand vision.
I think a graphic designer definitely adds some success to an esports team because it brings out the vision and again, like story of the organization. And we want to show that especially at FlyQuest, we want to show that we're more than an org that just like competes in video games. As much as that is very important to us, like we want to do more than that. And as an org, we're creating a platform for others, whether it's for our staff, players, and community. And I feel like those individuals make up what an esports team is. So we want to be sure to showcase that. And also we have so many opportunities in esports, like video games are that our players like compete in, community activations, workshops, and we just want to make it also like very appealing for people to be interested in joining. And so and I feel like graphic design definitely helps bring in that fan base that you'd want because if you want to grow your fan base, I feel like you want your activations and everything to be very appealing and very like exciting, and to also show like the meaning behind like your org. And also I feel like every team should have like merch design, and I feel like a graphic designer definitely helps on that. So yeah, those are just like some of the points that I think in terms of that.
Yeah, I like that. I like the idea of using it to be kind of more than just esports. And it would be kind of neat, I think, for me as someone who is a little bit on the outside-ish of the esports scene, very involved in kind of the world of gaming, but on the outside of esports, to see more teams kind of bring their personality front and center. And design is obviously a super unique way to do that. So that's a really good point. And you brought this up before, and I know that you have said several times that, FlyQuest goes beyond gaming and brings attention to a lot of different societal level issues, super unique to the esports world, or at least I feel as if the way that you are very forward-facing about it is unique. I've had a couple other folks from teams on here who have shared the same vision, and I just like seeing that in conjunction with kind of the FaZe clans of the world. Like, there's lots of smaller, or not smaller, but lots of different organizations that are taking a very different approach than FaZe clan, and there's, it's just, I guess my point is that the variety is nice to see. I think that FaZe and 100 Thieves spend a lot of the social media energy, but then if you actually get into the world of gaming and talk to gamers, like there's so many orgs out there doing so many cool things, and FlyQuest is definitely one of them. You've brought this up before, and we just had Earth Day, but can you tell me a little bit about the Go Green mission, how you all work sustainability and the environment into your work, how you're thinking about sustainability as an esports organization? Super unique point of view there, and I would love to hear more about that.
So the Go Green initiative started in 2020 when Trisha became like the new CEO. She really wanted to introduce that initiative because with her love and appreciation for nature, she really wanted to push on that because she believes that everyone has the ability to affect real change for the environment and as an org. And so we created a platform to address those important environmental issues together. And so I would say that like our overall like Go Green initiative and our eco-friendly message definitely inspires and factors a lot into like my design, and is like and since it is one of the main focus and something that we wish to bring awareness to, like we just want to make sure that that depicts throughout all of our design. And so when we even did like a rebrand last year where our logo pretty much depicts like a leaf and just like nature itself and too. So so everything that I designed for FlyQuest will definitely reflect off of our Go Green initiative in some ways, whether it's through our merch, social graphics, and branding. And when it comes to design process too, there's a lot of things that I have to consider, since I am trying to recreate the beauty of nature and learning from the Ikebana sensei herself, Trisha. She has taught me like some of the tips of like flower arrangements and some facts about flowers during specific seasons. And so there's a lot of considerations to take in when like you're drawing all of this, like the positioning when it blooms and the proportion of it. And also like another thing is just like our style too. Like prior to our rebrand, we actually had a lot of like hard, sharp edges and like dark tones, which a lot of people are saying is like esports design at this moment. We decided to switch to a soft watercolor, wholesome, light tone design style that like definitely fits with not only our vision and just like our brand itself, but also depicts like the beauty of like nature in some ways, because it's very soft, very like light toned, and just like wholesome. So we felt like watercolor would be best. But so to talk about Earth Day and just like our Go Green initiative.
That was a lot. That was great. That was really fascinating. Yeah. I mean, thinking about which way flowers bloom in direction to light is like that's really cool. I mean, that's very in depth, and I like hearing about that part of the design process. Very cool. Yeah. But tell me about Earth Day.
So since Go Green initiative is something we care about, like holidays like Earth Day is something very important to us. So this year for Earth Day, we actually released a merch line called the Go Green Collection, where we released a crop tee, a t-shirt, a tote bag, and a reusable water bottle. And all items are eco-friendly and made from organic and recycled materials. And for the design, I actually worked with our design intern, Tara, who drew a beautiful illustration that showcased all of our mascots that we've had throughout the years for each quest. And they're named Midori and Friends. And we wanted to illustrate them planting a tree. And this is a collection. This collection is like a way for us to like spread awareness and like encourage people to go eco-friendly. And since actually like last year, since we made a commitment to having all of our merch items be made from 25% or more recycled or all sustainable materials, this is just an example of just like a way that we decided to be more committed to our merch line. And also for Earth Day, something that I didn't really work on, but our content team actually released a very funny, wholesome video with their players where they reacted to Planet Earth, which you can watch on the FlyQuest YouTube channel. So it was just a little celebration. Yeah.
That's so fun. That's really, really cool. And everyone should definitely go look at that line because it's really cute.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Tara did an amazing job.
Yeah, it's really well done. I am very into that part of being eco-friendly. I was telling Phien before the show that I'm currently wearing a Parks Project t-shirt. All the money goes to support our national parks. I usually wear activewear made out of recycled plastic bottles. Definitely my jam. And I can confidently say that I really, really like this line. So everyone should definitely check it out. I want to shift gears just a little bit, and this is the Meta Woman podcast. I like to talk about the metaverse. I like to talk about emerging tech and where it's going. I definitely want to wrap up with a discussion on multimedia design. Talked a lot about more traditional mediums, but as we develop more digital tools and digital experiences, you are just a constant learner, which I think is really neat.
Yeah.
But what kinds of things are you thinking about when you're thinking about creating digital experiences? And what is your role as a graphic designer in designing those experiences?
It's just in a way of just trying to connect the community and like our audience like with each other. I feel like with the technology that we have right now, we're able to do that. And I feel like as a designer, like our role is to definitely bring in like that community together in some ways that we can, especially like during the pandemic right now. Like I feel like it's so hard not to see each other during events and stuff. So just having these digital tools definitely help kind of like replace that in some sense too. And I guess like how I'm looking into making more immersive like experience as we moved into like the metaverse world. Something that I haven't like tried yet, but something that I'm very interested in is like, especially since virtual reality is something that is like becoming big, is like VTubing, which is like where you create like a 2D, 3D virtual avatar of yourself and like you pretty much like live stream and it motion captures, which I think is like super cool. And a lot of streamers are doing that now. And I feel like just kind of like learning those programs, like I think it would be like an exciting project for FlyQuest, for example, where we can bring in our like mascots and kind of make them like come alive in some sense. And so, and then bringing those characters into life and then having them connect with the community in some ways would be like a really cool thing too. And I feel like I can definitely see the future. So.
Like that you thought of VTubing. That was
yeah.
Well, that's just VTubing was a little. I don't know. I thought it was going to catch on a bit more, I suppose, but it didn't quite do what I expected it to do. I don't know where we're at with digital avatars. Is there anything? Do you have any preference, especially as a designer, when you're thinking about connecting fan experiences for AR or VR experience? Like, do you have one where you're thinking like, oh, I think the fans would kind of prefer to be fully immersed, or I would love to design something through AR that I can like put into people's homes, you know?
I think having both would be good. Like, I feel like there's never really one more than the other. I feel like everyone has like different preferences for that. And so just having both would be like ideal. But I feel like with where we are now and like with like technology and just how, like with the pandemic where we're not able to connect with people as much as we can, I feel like having that like AR like or VR experience would be very like fun and something different too. And I feel like with like VTubing, for example, like it's not. I think it's still growing, and it's something that people are still like trying to learn and get used to. So I feel like it would be like kind of the same when it comes to all like the digital assets that if we were to like provide for people, you know, it's going to be something different, but something that like is kind of exciting and something in the future that we can probably expect too. So yeah.
My little brain is just screaming about AR. You know, like I can totally see some of the, is it Midori is the FlyQuest symbol? Like I can totally see like a Pokemon Go type setting.
Yeah, definitely. Just like her streaming and playing a game, like saving the environment and just having her like have a face. Cause we do have like a webtoon of her and like some videos of her. And it would be kind of nice to bring out like that personality in some sense, you know, but I know some people would prefer like a face-to-face, an actual person and like having that interaction, which I feel like there would be a lot of opportunities for, but I feel like having something different would definitely start like a new trend and something that we haven't seen in esports as much too. And I feel like not a lot of esports org has like a mascot that represents them too much, but or like bring them to life in some sense. So I feel like this would be like a great opportunity, especially since, you know, our characters are you know, are like saving the world and stuff. So they already have like some story to it, and it would be kind of nice to bring it to life in some sense. Yeah.
It's kind of totally a side question, but how have those characters kind of helped you build your community? Because I can imagine like, you know, you're telling all these little stories and it's like, it would be, so I would read like a comic about it, you know, like I feel like that's such a good way of connecting with an audience when like outside of matches particularly. But yeah, is there a lot of like fan lore around the characters?
Yeah,
I guess?
actually kind of. Yeah, I feel like people are so we have, I believe, 5 mascots. So we have Midori, we have Cardi the bee, Kurt the turt, Chon-Chi the hummingbird, and then Sunny our sun. And so I feel like we've actually released merch in the past where we where they're able to customize what character they want. And so, yeah, there is like a little fan base for each character because like through our webtoons and through our like videos, like they actually have like little personalities and like characters. Like they're just like very like unique characters. So I feel like there's some people who are like a fan of like Cardi the Bee more than like Critter, or, you know, so there is some like fan base to it. And so it kind of makes it like exciting and adds on to our story too. And hopefully in the future we possibly might have like more mascots, but yeah, those are like the 5 main ones that we've been really focusing on. So
you should start a cartoon with them.
Yeah, I know, right? Just have them just flying around.
Yeah,
me.
I would watch Kurt the Turk.
Yeah.
Everyone has great names.
Yeah.
I'm going to get back to more of a discussion on kind of emerging tech and digital design. Are there any, and I know you've mentioned a lot of like for example, earlier when you're saying like, that's a completely different experience when you're doing stuff on the iPad, but is there any part of the, you know, kind of, I don't know exactly how to phrase this question, but like, do you think that the digital design process is going to lead to different tools or different mediums for you than the ones that you've used in the past? Like, do you think that creating the metaverse, that you will be less inclined to go for those like IRL, like watercolors, or do you think that we'll develop more technology to kind of help you do what you do? Or like, how do you think design is going to evolve? I think as tech evolves is the best way I can phrase it.
Yeah, I feel like, there's going to be definitely a lot of platforms that that a lot of designers would have to adapt, especially if they are going into more of like the metaverse in some sense of like the virtual world or AR, virtual reality. There's a lot of like programs that are just like released like just in general for this. And so, so I feel like it's definitely going to change a lot of things. And I feel like as our brand, I think I would be able to mix in those previous platforms I worked with, like mixed media, and then incorporate them in some ways too. Because I feel like these platforms will allow you to just combine a lot of things together, but there will definitely be like new ones that we would have to learn, especially going in a different like canvas since it's so unlimited, and something that I'm trying to learn still too. So
it's really weird to think about an unlimited canvas.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like just seeing like how the games are like nowadays, and just like virtual reality, how much you can do with it. It's kind of scary in some sense, but it's also very exciting, you know, like of what you can actually do. But yeah, it's unlimited in some ways.
That just it sort of reminds me of, did you happen to see the collaborative effort on Reddit where every user could change a single pixel, and how somehow Germany wound up with like 17% of this million pixel thing? Germany did a really good job with collaboration on that. But unlimited canvas and the potential for collaboration and learning new mediums. I definitely thought for those folks that are listening, it's r/place. And you could change one pixel at a time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And it was a collaborative effort across the entire community of Reddit, which
turned out great. Yeah. And they actually added more canvas to it from what it was like prior to it. So they made, it was like huge. So it was very impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, that is crazy. Right before we get into our last segment, I want to do a little bit of a summary and wrap up of what we talked about. We began with a discussion on getting experience to go and work in gaming from non-gaming related industries or even non-gaming related education, which I think is really valuable to a lot of folks who are looking to make the jump but haven't quite figured out what they're looking for yet. You gave great advice to be open to learning specific skill sets in non-gaming settings. For you being a graphic designer, that was definitely more on the artistic and watercolor side, but you also mentioned that you went to a brand agency and learned marketing, which is a completely different part of the field that wound up being helpful, and being open to learning those skill sets. And I think also kind of deciding what skill sets you want to learn when you're out there looking for jobs in other industries can be really helpful. We talked a lot about the women's wear line, which there's a lot of really cool design elements and motivations behind that. The thing that I sort of liked or picked up on the most was that you all made a large donation of the proceeds to Women for Women International, which I think is really cool and just speaks to FlyQuest as an organization a lot. Esports designs can be more about esports while still promoting esports and gaming.
Yeah.
So you can add purpose and create lifestyle designs while still supporting and advertising for your team. One thing that you said that I really liked was that design is a different way of storytelling. So you can bring out the vision and mission of the organization. FlyQuest specifically wants to be for more than just gaming and esports, and having designs that say that is a way to appeal to the community, get more people to join. We talked a lot about the Go Green collection that you released on Earth Day. Everything is made from organic and recycled materials. Includes a lot of the different mascots that you talked about and that we had a really fun conversation about. Totally can't wait to see what AR and VR designs you come up with your mascots. Super fun. Everyone should go check out the Go Green collection because I really liked it. There's a lot of different, like I said, there's a lot of different characters in FlyQuest, which means fans can even create some materials and add to their storylines, which I think speaks to the power of the design itself, right? That you can put something out there and then someone else can look at it and kind of create their own story behind it to share. Yeah. Really unique way of uniting fans. And when we talk about the metaverse experiences, designers are going to have to adapt to new platforms to create AR and VR experiences, to newer canvases that are unlimited. Definitely going to be some changing in the tools that are available. But you seem to be equally excited about AR and VR, which in my mind, I'm like totally more on the AR excitement train and more on the VR like functionality train. So the last segment that I like to do, and I like to do this in every show, this is a chance to give guests like just an opportunity to reflect back on their careers, what they've learned. And I like to call this the moment of reflection. So what is one thing you would like to tell your younger self about getting into the gaming industry and being successful?
I would just celebrate and just be like, oh, we did it. You know, it was definitely like a long journey and I feel like there's still a lot more to come. So yeah, let's continue to work hard and continue to work towards our happiness.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, working towards your own happiness. Thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find you and follow your work? Where can they see all of your awesome designs? I know the FlyQuest store is one place, but if anyone wants to talk to you, where can they find you if you want to be talked to?
Yeah. You can just follow my Twitter at Phien_machine. And that's where I like usually promote my work, what you see a lot through FlyQuest, as well as my portfolio there as well.
So happy that gaming as an industry is such a Twitter-based medium because I really love Twitter. And LinkedIn is just not my jam. So everyone go follow Phien on Twitter. For all the listeners out there, be sure to also leave 5-star ratings and reviews. Check out other Holodeck Media podcasts, including Meta Business for all the metaverse finance stories you could ever want. Business of Esports for interviews with industry leaders. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Lindsay Poss, although I strongly prefer Twitter. You can catch me Wednesday nights on the Business of Esports live after show, and you can catch this podcast in your feed every week. We'll see you next week, and hopefully I'll have a much better voice for you. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for joining us here on Meta Woman. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast everywhere you get your podcasts, leave a 5-star review, and tell your friends, family, and colleagues all about us. Also, make sure to follow Meta TV on all socials to get more of the best metaverse content anywhere. Tune in every week for another episode of Meta Woman.